Hi, welcome to the third episode of the New England Gal Knits podcast. I am Janet. I live in Massachusetts with my husband, our two boys, our cat, and our dog. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram at the New England Gal. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate the support. And if you're a new viewer, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to check out my podcast. I hope you enjoy it. So it is October 24th here in New England. The leaves are starting to change and it's absolutely beautiful. I'll insert a picture here of my street when I took the dog for a walk yesterday. The foliage is looking absolutely gorgeous right now. I'm enjoying the driving. I just wish it would cool down a little bit. I'm starting to get sick of wearing shorts and t-shirts in October when I should be wrapped in knitwear. I am wearing some knitwear today. It is rainy out, so when I head off to work in a little bit, our office can get cold with the air conditioning. So I ended up, when the sun's not out, when the sun's out, there's a bit of a greenhouse effect and we're all sweating wearing t-shirts in the office. And then when it's cloudy out, it tends to get a bit chillier. The AC's still running and it can get quite cool. So I like to wear big shawls I can wrap myself up in. This is my Waiting for Rain shawl by Sylvia McFadden. I knit it out of Valley Yarn DK Merino. I don't remember the colorway, but it's this perfect tan that goes with everything in my wardrobe. And I love it. It's nice and big. I can take it off and wrap myself up in it if I need to. So today I have some couple finished objects. I have works in progress. I played around with a little bit of dyeing, so I have some things to show there. And then I may have a sock yarn problem. I may have done a little bit of spending this week at a couple local yarn stores because I had some vacation time. I think I was feeling down. I was supposed to go to Rhinebeck this weekend, and unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, wasn't able to make it. So I think I did a little bit of retail therapy, so I'll share that as well. So let me start with my finished object. So my first finished object I'm so excited for. So last year when I knit my Halloween socks, I was up till 11:30 the night before Halloween finishing them off. So I am pleased to say I have finished my Halloween socks. These are just my plain vanilla socks. This is the Yarn Jar sock, classic sock based in the Halloween colorway. So it's a 75-25 blend, and I love the way these came out. And I have 1 week, I have hair everywhere. I shed like you wouldn't believe. I may shed worse than our miniature husky. Here's some more here. All right, so anyways, I have these done with a full week to go. So I am ecstatic about that. I can go to bed early because I know Halloween's gonna be a late night. We always go over a friend's house for Halloween. She has the kids over, and my oldest, who's in 7th grade, isn't into trick-or-treating, but he and his friends have a blast hanging out and handing out candy while we all take the younger ones out and trick-or-treating. So we look forward to that every year, going over there. So that is my first finished object. My second finished object is another pair of vanilla socks. So these I knit for my younger son. These are knit out of Knit Picks Hawthorne base in a color I dyed to look like Minecraft creepers. So he is ecstatic and impatiently waiting for these. I told him he had to wait to wear them until I had podcast, and he was very much last night, okay Mom, you're podcasting tomorrow morning, I can have them tomorrow afternoon. I'm like, absolutely, I will get it podcast. So I have finished these and he is very excited to wear these. So I'm hoping I made them large enough. The other socks I had knit him over the summer are quite a bit too small on him. His feet have been growing like you wouldn't believe. It's about 2.5 shoe sizes now that his feet have grown since August. So hoping I knit these long enough. Worst case scenario, I'll rip back the toe and knit them longer. So I do always do my vanilla socks cuff down, 2x2 rib, fish lips kiss heel, which is my favorite heel. I have it memorized so I can do it anywhere. And then I do a Kitchener toe, so I can always rip back the toe, knit the foot longer if I have to, but I tried them on him a week ago when I had finished the first sock and they fit. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they fit. And then my last finished object is the Greystone hat, and this is by Melissa Thomson. So this is a cabled hat. This is knit out of Encore Tweed by Plymouth yarn. And here's the tag. So it is 75 acrylic, 25% wool, and 3% rayon. I haven't blocked it yet. It needs to be blocked. I'm hoping because there's a little bit of wool in it, it'll block out a little bit just to bring out those cables. But I love it because it is knit to be slouchy, or you can turn up the rim and make it a cap. So I absolutely love it. I love the color. It is perfect for the fall. So now if it could start cooling down, I can go ahead and start wearing this. And that is it for my finished objects. My first work in progress, I have the Angelina Pullover by Benedetto, which is out of Interweave Knits Fall magazine issue. I have it housed in a project bag that I had sewed up quite a bit ago. I haven't done any sewing recently. I don't have a designated craft area, and sometimes I find pulling out my sewing machine to put it on the dining room table and then putting them back inconvenient. So I don't, as much as I love sewing, I don't sew that much anymore. So anyways, I have one sleeve done on the sweater. So just have one more sleeve to go. It is 3/4 length bell style sleeve. Again, the I-cord bind off on the sleeve, and I am absolutely thrilled with the way this is turning out. I did try it on and it fits perfectly. This is knit out of the Fiber Company Cumbria yarn, and this is in their Dertwentwater colorway. I have to say this is probably the best yarn I have ever used. I absolutely am in love with it, and it will not be the last time I use it. I think I overbought. I bought an extra skein, so I'm hoping that with that I can go ahead and make another cabled hat because I'm addicted to cables, as you can tell. So I am excited. So I'm knitting this for Thanksgiving, so I should have it done in plenty of time. Thanksgiving isn't here in the United States, isn't until the end of November, so I still have about another month to go, so plenty of time to get it done and blocked. So that was my first work in progress. My second work in progress is another sweater. This is the Veronica Cardigan by Shannon Cook, and here is a picture of it. I did print this at work, and we just have a black and white printer. My regular printer it's broken. There's a paper jam, but there's no paper in it. I can't figure it out, so it's time for a new one. Just haven't gotten there yet. So this is what I have done so far. So I've gotten quite a bit done on it, and this is being knit out of Patons Classic Worsted yarn in their dark gray marl colorway. I think I had mentioned in my last podcast that I just wanted the dark gray solid color, and they didn't have enough at the local Michael's by me, so I ended up picking up the marled one. And at first I was disappointed, but now that I've knitted up, I absolutely love it. I'm not disappointed at all. I can't wait to get this done. I am on the decrease section, so I don't have that much more to do. I'm not gonna say this right. I'm not very good at pronunciation. I can barely pronounce half of the English words, so never mind other languages, but I think they're Licca needles, the driftwood needles. I love these. I don't mind knitting on wooden needles. They're very similar to the Knitter's Pride Dreams. Although what I love about these is I find that the joints are much smoother than with the Knitter's Pride. And I'm just really enjoying using these. Typically, my go-tos are my Chowgoos. I have the interchangeable sets, and I love them. I love the cords to the Chowgoos. I do enjoy the cord on this as well. This is a fixed. I didn't buy an interchangeable set, although I'm very tempted to. But after my last week of shopping, it'll be a while. Maybe Christmas, maybe a Christmas present. So anyways, this is my Veronica cardigan. I love this. It's going to be super warm and cozy once it's done. And I think I had said last time too that I can't wait to have this done and have it for when, you know, those snowy cold days when you're at home and you just want to curl up on the couch. This is the perfect cocoon cardigan for that. And this is being housed barely fitting in my Fringe Supply Company bag, which is, I have to say, hands down my favorite project bag that I have. Oh, well, and while I'm on the subject, I guess, I had quite a bit of ripping out this weekend of projects. So the hat, the Greystone hat that I completed, I had started it, I was halfway done, and I realized I was doing the cables completely incorrect. Obviously, reading the pattern was not my strong suit for that project, and I had to rip it all out to the ribbing and restart again. This one, I somehow managed to add 4 extra stitches somewhere along the way, and I ripped back, although you can kind of tell, I can see it because I know it's a mistake, but it kind of, I don't see it's folding over. I don't see how well you can see, but it does curve up at some point. So I had to rip back quite a bit on this too. I could have had it finished had I not had to rip back, but I was not happy with the way it was looking with those extra 4 stitches, and I had made it look like I had dropped a stitch, but obviously I hadn't, seeing I had added on some extras. So I don't know what happened. But anyways, had to rip back on that. And then my other 2 projects are socks. So my first sock project is the Clark socks, and this is by Jaclyn Salem. And here's a picture of them. I love the pattern. I absolutely am enjoying knitting the pattern. It's easy to memorize. I'm not quite sure about the sock choice to go with this pattern. So I am knitting these out of Regia Tweed, and this is the 98 colorway. And here is the start of my sock. And then it has some cabling in the back. Now I don't know how well you can see it, only because it is a dark yarn, so I think it is very difficult to see the pattern. The reason I'm not thrilled with it is that it is a much thicker yarn fingering weight than other sock yarns. It's making a dense fabric, which I think is great. If I did a plain vanilla sock, I think it would be a great fabric, nice and warm for the wintertime, especially those below 0 days. I'm just not thrilled. I'm having a hard time with the cabling. It's rough on the hands because this is so thick. But I'm going to give it a little bit longer because I do like the way it's looking. I do like the fabric. So I'm going to do a couple more rounds, see how I feel, and decide whether or not just to rip it back and do a plain vanilla sock or continue with the pattern. Like I said, I definitely love the pattern. I will definitely be knitting more of them, and actually I'll show you another yarn that I have set aside to do another pair of Clark socks. But this is what I have for this so far, and I'm on the fence on whether or not to keep it. So we'll see. Like I said, I want to give it a few more rounds before deciding. And then my second sock project, again, I'm not overly thrilled with. So this is being housed in my Jezebel B. Look at this mess. Hold on. Oh, I am a mess this morning. So this is in my Jezebel B bag, and this is my bus stop knitting. So this is Laying Jawoll Magic Degrade, and I don't believe I said that right. So here is the ball of yarn. So, and I love the colors. This is what I have so far. What I'm not thrilled with, it is marketed as a sock yarn. It's a single ply. I have a feeling it's going to pill something horrible when it's done. So I'm not too sure what I'm going to do, if I'm going to continue with it. It looks soft and fuzzy. It's a virgin wool. I believe it's 75 virgin wool and 25 nylon. It'll be nice and warm when it's done. I'm just concerned with the pilling, with it being the sock, especially on the heel of the sock when I'm done. So I haven't decided whether or not to rip it back and just go on and move on to a different sock and save this maybe for a shawl. I don't know how this would knit up as a shawl. The coloring is made to be knit as a sock. Maybe I could turn it into a fingerless mitt, but then again I still worry with the fingerless mitts and the uses whether or not it will pill. So we'll see. I'll continue knitting on this a little while longer and see what I want to do. I hate ripping out and pulling back, and if I can complete a project. And like I said, with my Clark socks, I love the pattern. I'm enjoying the pattern. When they're done, they're going to be beautiful. They are making a beautiful, dense, warm fabric. It's just whether or not my hand can handle the cables, because it is tough on the gauge that I'm using with that thicker yarn to do the cables. So we'll wait and we'll see. I'll give it another week and decide from there. And then, so that's it for my works in progress. So I did a little bit of dyeing this past week. I had mentioned in my last podcast that I was going to dye up some yarn for some Hufflepuff Bruin socks. So anyone who's not familiar, they're both kind of a gold, yellow, and black color scheme. So I decided I was going to dye up some sock yarn for my boys to make them socks for Christmas. So I played around a little bit there. My first attempt was not very successful. So here is my first attempt. So this came out much more orange or a rusty yellow than what I was going for. The color should be a bright yellow, or brighter at least than this in black. So I ended up dyeing up 2 of these because I did them at the same time. So the boys next year will get their own Halloween socks out of this. I do like the color, it's just not what I wanted. My second attempt, much more successful. So this is the second one. So I have 2 of these as well. This is the perfect yellow. So I did the skein, I did it half yellow and half black. I'm hoping I'll be able to this will micro stripe as I'm knitting it. I'm still not very I'm still learning when it comes to dyeing and how things turn out when you knit them. But I'm pretty sure this will end up micro striping as I'm knitting it, so I can't wait to get these started. And these, if I'm going to have them ready for Christmas, need to be cast on very quickly. Then while I had everything out, so when I dye, I do dye in my kitchen, I do a stock pot dyeing. I end up the cleaning up before and after, making sure there's no cross-contamination. It's a lot of work to do, especially when you don't have a designated space for it. So I don't dye a whole lot. So I figured while I had everything out, I'd do a couple more skeins of yarn. I wanted a little bit more of a solid color for socks for myself. These are all, by the way, out of Knit Picks Felici sock, bear sock yarn. So I love bright sock yarns. However, sometimes it's nice to have more of a solid, mellow tone sock that won't clash with what you're wearing. So I wanted to dye up some green sock yarn, and I am absolutely thrilled with the way this came out. It is absolutely beautiful. There's depths, and I don't know how well you can see, but there is definitely some, it's very tonal, but there is a lot of depth to it. Ecstatic with the way this turned out. I put a lot of dye in the stock pot. I ended up pulling it out before all the dye was absorbed, only because I didn't want to end up with something that looked almost black. So with the remaining dye that was in there, I threw in another skein of yarn, and this is what came out. I adore this. I ended up, after it came out of the stock pot, putting it in a plastic container and doing brown speckles on it. And then I ended up microwaving it to heat set it. This will be my next Clark socks, so whether or not I finish the other ones, this one is a pair of Clark socks right here. I absolutely love it. So that is it for the dyeing. Now on to my sock yarn problem. So this past week, my mom and I went out shopping at a couple of local yarn shops. I was supposed to go to Rhinebeck this past weekend and wasn't able to make it due to some medical issues I had back in August. So I ended up, my mom and I, on Thursday, because I had taken Thursday and Friday off, and also yesterday, which was Monday, to make it a long weekend so I could prepare and then recover from Rhinebeck, which never happened. Next year. Next year's the year. I haven't been to Rhinebeck yet. It's only 2.5 hour drive. It's just, I couldn't make that drive this year. So next year. So anyways, my mom and I went out and I did a little bit of damage. So the first place we stopped was called Knit One Quilt Two, which unfortunately is going out of business. So they were having 25% off everything. So I picked up a couple skeins of sock yarn there. So the first sock yarn I had picked up was the Crazy Zauberball in there, I think it is 2099 colorway. This is it here, and love the blues. This could be a good sock yarn for the boys, but then again, I kind of like the neutral. It'll go with just about anything. Actually would go great with the shirt I'm wearing. So can't wait to get this on the needles. Like I said last year, I'm going to go through all my sock yarn. Last podcast I had said I was going to go through all my sock yarn and set aside each month what socks I want to knit. So this will be one of the first ones. Then I picked up 2 Cascade yarns in the Heritage Wave, which is a 75% merino and 25% nylon. And this first one is color 514 in beautiful red. This I think will be a pair of Christmas socks. May not be this year's Christmas socks unless I have time to knit up 2. But there's a candy cane pattern sock that I think this would be perfect for. So I do have plans for this, whether it's this year or next year. But I love that. And then I picked up another Cascade Heritage Wave yarn, and this is in 508. This reminds me of summer, beach and summer with these blues and greens. So I may knit maybe 2 pairs of shorty socks, because in the summer I do like to wear shorty socks over the long legged ones. So I may knit 2 shorty socks to go with this for next summer. So I absolutely love that. And then we hit another yarn shop, Craftworks, and that's in Northborough, Massachusetts. And I love the selection they have there. They have some indie dyers as well as your normal brands like the Cascade and the Plymouth yarns and the Rowan and the Malabrigo. So I did pick up 2 different sock yarns there. So here is the first one, and they came already wound, which is perfect. So this is by Black Bunny Fibers, and this is a 75-25 as well, and this is the Swamp Thing colorway. So they wound it so that you could start from the middle and start from the outside and do 2 at a time. I don't do 2 at a time. It gets tangled in a mess, and I'm clumsy, and 2 at a time just does not work for me. So what I'll do is I'll knit from the outside first, and then I'll go and I'll rewind the remainder and knit from that one, so this way hopefully they'll be matching. So I picked that one up, and then I picked up a gradient, and this is by Wandering Wool. This is 75-25 as well in the Oriental Poppy colorway, which is I absolutely love. I love the center. I love the bright orange and turning to pink. I normally start knitting from the outside of a cake. However, I think I'm going to, because I do cuff down, I want that bright orange as my legs. So I think I'll either knit from the center, or maybe I'll do something a little bit different and start and try my first toe up socks with this. So, but I absolutely love that. And then my mom ended up going to the Knit One Quilt 2 a few weeks ago with my aunt and had picked me up a gift, love gift yarn, and this is Malabrigo Rio in the Archangel colorway. This will end up being a hat. I still haven't decided which hat yet, but it'll be a hat. No, it would be nice fingerless mitts too. I'll have to think about it, spend some time on Ravelry, and figure out what I want to do with this. But I love the colors. I love the purples and the reds, and there's a little bit of orange tone to it. Absolutely love that. And then I did a little bit of online shopping, not too much, but my first one back in November I had ordered, and I love her yarn. This is the Yarn Jar. This is her Christmas Grouch colorway, and it came with, and I don't know, let's see how well I can get that. Can I hold it steady enough? Little mitten progress keepers, which I love. So what I really like about this one is that it's going to have different width stripes. So instead of all being the same with like my Halloween socks, this will have some smaller stripes and some thicker stripes. So this will get cast on pretty quickly. If I don't continue with the vanilla socks I'm working on because I'm not enjoying the yarn, I'll go ahead and cast this on. And this one, so the Halloween socks are out of her classic sock base, which is the 75-25. I ended up with this one doing the 2-ply, which is an 80-20. I love the way this looks, so I can't wait to see how it knits up. So these will be my Christmas socks, and hopefully I'll get these started soon because, again, I don't want to be waiting to the last minute. I am a procrastinator, but I want these done well before Christmas. Then the last skein of yarn I bought, so my friend lives in Atlanta, Georgia, and I went last February to visit her, and she took me to this yarn shop I absolutely adore, and I am going to mess up the name and I'll put it down, but it's Eat, Sleep, Knit. I believe is the name of it. I think I got those in the right order. And I had a $15 gift certificate to there, and they were having a sale on some of the discontinued Madeline Tosh colorways. So I ended up picking up Madeline Tosh Chunky, and this is in the worn denim colorway. So this will be a hat as well. I wear hats a lot, especially at the school bus in the wintertime when it gets really cold out. So I haven't decided which pattern I'm going to use for this yet, but this will be another hat as well. And then my last acquisition are my favorite stitch markers ever. So this is Blue Dog Workshop, and I have a couple of her sets already. So here's what they look like. I love the fact they don't have anything dangling from them. I don't like stitch markers that dangle when I'm working between knit and purl stitches, only because they get in the way. I have a habit of knitting them into the garment that I'm working on, so these are perfect and they're very pretty. I love the copper wires, and then the blues and the greens remind me again of the ocean and the sea, so I adore her stitch markers, so I treated myself to some of those, and I'd say that is it for my acquisitions, but that was quite a bit. So I am definitely, with Christmas around the corner and the new year starting, I am going to call it quits for purchasing any more yarn. So that is it, and then so that's it for all the knitting. So the last 2 weeks have been fairly busy. So 2 weekends ago, my oldest son had his teen night out at school. So basically all of the kids in the middle school get together and there's movies and dancing and games. So while he was there with his friends, I went out with the moms and we went out to dinner just to a local restaurant by us that has amazing food. It's Red Rock in Upton. We ended up just getting sandwiches and fries. They have the best sweet potato fries around, hands down. And then we had blueberry margaritas and just completely enjoyed ourselves while our kids were having a good time. And then other than that weekend, I didn't even go to my son's soccer game. It was an hour and a half away that Sunday, and it overlapped with a couple other things that needed to get done. So my husband ended up taking him for that drive out there, and I missed it. Can't make it to all of them. Sometimes when you've got kids and all the activities, sometimes you have to divide and conquer, and one goes one place, one goes the other. And then this past weekend, like I had said, I had taken a few days off, which was nice and relaxing. My mom and I went shopping, and then we ended up at a country club for dinner that's near to, for lunch that's near to us, and had burgers again. I don't normally eat that many burgers, but I did. I had some burgers and I had onion rings, and hands down, best onion rings I ever had. They were crispy, they were perfect, and even my mom, every time I took a bite, she's like, I can hear how crispy they are. So that was nice. We enjoyed that, and just driving around some of the towns, and a lot of the towns around here, we took some back roads, and there's houses that are built in the 1800s, old colonial homes, and with the foliage, it was just beautiful drive around, enjoying and taking in the scenery. So that was great. And then on this past weekend, my oldest son was camping out, and he had a blast. They went to a local state park and ended up, he was in charge of all of the cooking, so, which my husband can't cook, and he's kind of on the fence, but the people he cooked for all survived, so he was successful. So, but he ended up staying up on Saturday night. There was a meteor shower, so he was able to see that, and he just absolutely loved that. So that was it. Then my youngest son on Friday, after we dropped off my older one for camping, we ended up at Five Guys for more hamburgers and french fries because that seems to be the trend lately. But so then he and I came back and just watched Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire, I think it was the second movie with Tobey Maguire. It had Doc Ock in it. I get my superheroes movies mixed up sometimes, there's so many of them. We ended up seeing that for the 20th time. I enjoy it, they're fun to watch, they're lighthearted. And then on Saturday we ended up renting King Arthur. Was not a fan of that. It was okay. It was what it was. It wasn't anything special. It was all right. My younger son fell asleep halfway through, if that's telling, of the movie. But it was entertaining enough. And then when my older son got back from camping, we ended up at his soccer game. Again, it's October. It was Sunday. It was sunny. It was 78 out. We were at the soccer game in shorts and t-shirts, which is nice. Normally we're freezing cold and bundled up under fleece blankets, so it was kind of nice to be able to enjoy the nice weather and watch the soccer game. And that was about it for my last 2 weeks. So this coming week I'm doing dinner with some friends and their kids. We're gonna go to a Mexican restaurant that's right around the corner from us, so we'll see how that is. And then that is all the plans. I'm going to be working, right now I work part-time. I work about 25 to 30 hours a week. 2 weeks in November I am working full-time, so we'll see how that is. You know, trying to juggle childcare and activities and getting the kids where they need to be. Even working 25 to 30 hours is a struggle. So when I'm going to be putting in 45 hours a week, we'll see how that goes. Luckily enough, we live close to family that will be able to help us out. So that is it for what's coming up. Thank you so much for watching my podcast. I hope you enjoy it and I hope you have a few good weeks ahead. Bye!